welcome to the show, Bowen. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm very happy to be here. Wow.
And this is a work day for you. This is the Monday pitch day. And when I first met you, when I hosted, you were a writer on the show.
Yes.
And then you became a cast member. You had auditioned before you became a writer.
Yeah, a few times.
And what were your audition pieces?
So I never thought it would happen, so I just had fun with it. So I would do just like really just silly people. I did my Soul Cycle instructor. I did the choking poster guy. And then they would ask you to do impressions every time.
Yeah.
And I had to go back in a few times, and then I at a certain point, I just ran out of Asian public figures.
Yeah.
So then I really like scraped the bottom of the barrel, and I did like Michiko Kakutani. Do people know who she is?
New York Times book reviewer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Seth. So
And was
cool for
like,
you.
I mean, ripe for the taking.
So ripe.
Yeah.
She.
And I mean, for years, Lauren would be like, we don't have one.
Michiko.
Yeah.
Who's gonna use the word limn in a sketch? So the thing about her is that she's never really been photographed, and no one knows what she sounds like.
Perfect for an impression.
But it gave me free reign to do whatever I wanted.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
it was great. It was fun.
One of your first characters you did on the show was, I guess, the Minister of Trade, yes?
Yes.
The Trade Daddy.
Trade Daddy. Ken Biao.
How did this come to pass?
This was part of my, I think, in one of my auditions, I did him right as the trade war was starting, and I was like, it feels topical, but like, how do you make this funny? And then really the only way to do that is just to make him catty and mean.
Yeah.
So that's just
It
who he
paid
is.
off. You also, this was before you were a full cast member.
Yes.
You played Kim Jong-un.
Yes.
And
KJU. KJU.
KJU.
Baby.
And
Yeah.
he loves it, right?
He loves it when
He
you call him
loves it. You
KJU.
guys, yeah. And you, but this is fantastic because again, it's before you're a full cast member, so
Yeah.
you also had a sketch that you had written in the show, independent of this.
I was going through like a super long dry spell. When you first start out as a writer, you're just getting your bearings and you don't really get stuff on, and that's fine. It's part of like the crucible you have to walk through. But then that show, I helped write 2 pre-taped sketches, and I was helping on her monologue, and it was the busiest week. I haven't had as busy of a week as that since, like even as a cast member. And we did this, I was in my Kim Jong-un, and then had to run under the bleachers during dress rehearsal. So when you're writing a sketch, you have to go sit next to Lorne under the audience, and he's watching and he's giving you notes. He's like, maybe we cut to Keenan sooner or something. And then, but I was still in the full KJU
Yeah.
fit, and then just like sat next to him while he was like giving me feedback.
But
and I was like,
that's
yeah,
the only way Lauren respects you is if you dress like a dictator.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He's like, you can do, or not.
just
put it up. Yep. It's up to you today.
Exactly.
You also that was Sandra hosting was
Yes.
just exciting in its own right, but she was a big deal for you. Yep.
She was a big deal for me. I remember seeing her in the Princess Diaries and thinking, who is that woman? Then I stumbled on an episode of Arliss, and I was like, okay, this is not age appropriate for me as a child. And then like watched Grey's Anatomy and thought, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor.
Just because of Sandra Oh
Just
playing
because
one
of-
on TV.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then really, it's an example of bad representation because it tricks Asian people into going into the medical field
Yeah.
when they should be doing something else.
Now I do want to point out, like people you grew up around had some ideas that this was going to happen. This is really cool.
Oh.
Your superlative was most likely to be a cast member on Saturday Night Live.
Kind of crazy. That's wild.
That's really
Weird.
So,
It's weird.
if I'm doing the math right, you had a 10-year reunion. Did you
10-year
get to
reunion.
go?
I did not go because our student body class president is nowhere to be found.
Oh no.
So I hope he's doing okay, Zach. Glenn, if you're doing okay, please let us know. But no, it never came together. But I would have loved to go.
Well, it's really sweet.
Yeah.
That the fact, like, you have to see them again collectively because they will feel so right.
Sure.
Like, no one who
Got
writes
it.
superlative, like at Donald Trump's high school wasn't like most likely to be impeached.
Sure,
you know?
sure. Absolutely. They should all be agents or something.
They should all be agents now. You, so you were born in Australia, grew up in
Yes.
Colorado, born in Australia.
Yes, and then Montreal was in between. So my dad and my mom met in China, then they moved to Brisbane. Was born there with my sister, and then we moved to Montreal, and then we moved to Denver. So I've lived in all these places that used to be owned by England. I'm a little Commonwealth baby. Yeah.
So your parents are Chinese. Were they excited when they heard you were on SNL?
They knew that I liked the show. They knew it was a big deal for me when I got hired as a writer, but then they asked me, they did not know what the show was, and so they were like, does this mean you have to move to Hollywood now? or something? They don't know that it's here.
They didn't know the first detail about the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Truly the first piece of information that's given out on the show is that it's in New York, and they didn't know.
Have they been able to come and see it?
They have. They came a couple times. They came last year for my birthday during Liev Schreiber's show.
Oh, that's good.
And they really liked Lil Wayne. My dad was like, he's really good. he's got bars.
Yeah.
And then they came for the premiere this season too, which was so great.
Oh, that's great. I was just saying to our last guest that this is for real. You're a big Alex Wagner fan.
Huge Alex Wagner fan. I think she filled in that role in The Mole so well, and like it's perfect. Like she has that mid-aughts Anderson Cooper vibe about her.
Yeah.
And like she is cool, really good at talking to everybody. Could be a Vanderbilt. You don't know.
Now, Anderson Cooper's version of The Mole, this was a very important show to you.
Yes, it was very important to me and my sister. We just moved to the U.S. from Canada. It was like one of the first shows we watched, and it was riveting television. My sister loved it so much that she themed her like 12th birthday party after The Mole, and like had her own game of The Mole, and I was like on the side PAing the whole thing. Like I was like whispering into these like girls' ears, like, okay, like, so we're gonna go into elimination now, and like someone's gonna leave, and it's gonna be okay. But like I was running the whole show, like I was a PA, I was producing the whole thing. It was amazing.
Did you ever get to tell people it's time for you to leave the party or anything like that?
I think I did the Alex Wagner thing, which is she walks the people to their car. And I think I just walked them over to the living room. Yeah.
You have a wonderful podcast called Las Culturistas about
Yes.
pop culture.
Oh my gosh, really?
What is?
Wow.
with your great host Matt Rogers.
Yes.
Two of your fantastic.
Oh
kids.
my God, the best.
What's big in pop culture right now that we're not talking about?
Are you ready to hear this, everybody? Yeah. And I'm not just saying this as an employee of NBC Universal, but the most happening thing in pop culture right now is Peacock. It's Peacock.
It's Peacock.
It's Peacock. You got The Traitors. You have every Real Housewives, including the Real Housewives of Miami, which is currently the best franchise.
Okay, great.
Because it features Lenny Hochstein, the boob god of Miami.
Okay, the boob god.
He gives every woman a boob job in Miami.
Whether they want it or not.
Whether they want it or not. Compulsory boob jobs, which is a DeSantis policy. Sorry, but like but he cheated on his wife Lisa, who's one of the housewives, and now he's currently the most hated man on television, I think.
And we're all rooting for Lisa.
And we're hugely rooting for Lisa. He tried to kick her out of their house with the kids, and she was like, no, I'm staying and I'm raising these two children. She's amazing. Lisa Hochstein, I'm with you. I support you.
That's very nice of you.
Love her.
Of course, another thing, and again, this is not brand crossover, but another thing, of course, you can watch on Peacock is SNL.
SNL.
You had a double duty as George Santos. You did him on Update and in the Cold Open. So good you did him twice. Now, did you have in the back of your head, as this sort of George Santos story was building, did you think, I'm the guy to play it?
I didn't think so, because I was kind of just not sure what his deal was. Like, any of us weren't sure. But what if I just came on the show right now to be like, I believe him?
Like, I lived as him for a night, and I
believe the guy. No, but I was like, oh, he has glasses, and he, we both have like a gross nasally voice. So like, maybe I'm the guy. And so I asked around, and then we like wrote this Weekend Update feature with Allison Gates and Kent Sublette, and then they added him in the cold open on Friday night. And I was like, this is gonna be overkill, but he is overkill, so it all worked out.
Is it weird impersonating someone who is clearly always trying to be a different person as well?
Yes, right? Like because you can't get like a hold on him as a like you're like, who is this guy? And like even the way he talks, I think, is a little like. I mean, like, he's either like freshly had the lip filler in and he's like not enunciating his words right, or he's just talking about how he slayed Harvard and Yale in volleyball. You're like, what is this guy's deal?
You played another one that must have been fun because you didn't obviously have to look at tape to be accurate to the actual person.
Right.
Is it, what's his name again?
This is Krampus.
Krampus.
This is Krampus, the famous Bavarian Christmas mythological figure.
Yeah.
He is just a little burnt out after.
Yeah. It was one of those wonderful update features where your attitude and vibe did not match the costuming at all.
Right.
And I should know, when you came out, you had 2 horns and 1 horn fell off.
Yes.
And I'm gonna say this, and this is no small praise. This is maybe one of my favorite costume malfunctions because both you and Colin, I give praise to both. Both of you really rolled with it in a very nice way.
Well, I should say that I anticipated some malfunction because right before I get rolled off, the horn falls off.
Okay.
And I'm like, wow, I better come up with something in case this happens again. And it's like I almost like preempt it. Like I say that I was just basically like, oh no, I'm sick. And then Colin was like, you have horn sickness. And the words leave my mouth right as it falls, as if I like willed it to happen. And so I don't know. It's like a premeditated costume.
Yeah. In the end, though, I really appreciate it. You guys rolled through it. You did not make it all about the horn sickness, but it was a very nice moment. It's very exciting. I know it must be also exhausting, but when you're off from SNL, you were going over to London because you were working on Wicked.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
This is amazing. This is a film version of Wicked.
Yes.
You're not just going over to do like a show over there.
Which I would happily do, especially because the cast on the West End of Wicked just fully digs into the British accent. And it's so funny. They're like, we're going to see the Wizard of Oz. And it's really funny. It's really funny. But it's great. No, we're doing the movie, and it's crazy.
And this is a show that meant something to you.
Yes. Okay, so the second time I ever came to New York, first time I like went into Manhattan, it was 2005. Wicked had just come out a year and a half before. I was obsessed with it. I was besotted by the songs. And then I came to New York, and then I begged my parents to buy tickets. It was the hottest ticket in town. We couldn't go. And I was like, well, can we at least drive up to the Gershwin Theater? So I can press my face up against the glass. And so we went. It was the most pathetic sight.
Because it's not like, I mean, from my knowledge of Broadway theaters, the glass, you don't like get to see the set or anything.
You don't get to see the set, but you get to see the lobby.
Yeah.
You get to sort of touch things that touch the floor that lead to the stage. So you're kind of like, you're sort of like a couple degrees away. And so we couldn't do that, but what we did do was we came to this building for the NBC studio tour. We got to go over to the SNL studio and like sit there, and I was like, this isn't as cool as Wicked.
It must be very nice. Do you ever reflect back on the fact that you're now working on the 2 things that you, one, were on an underwhelming tour of, and 2, you couldn't get tickets for?
Yes, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy full circle. It's also amazing that they're both Universal Studios projects. Watch Peacock. But
so much synergy.
So much synergy.
The synergy is red hot coming off you.
But I promise it's genuine. Like, I love Peacock so much. I really do. Poker Face starring Natasha Lyonne is premiering.
Really good. It's
really good.
Yeah.
But no, it's crazy. It is full circle, though.
Now, this is obviously this is a musical. Is there a choreography involved with your role?
Choreography involved. So John M. Chu is directing the film, and he is still working with choreographers that he's been with since Step Up 2. And I was really intimidated going into this. I was like, I'm not a dancer. I don't know really how to move.
I would say, I mean, just from watching SNL, I do feel like you are very good at sketch comedy choreography, right? Like that.
Which
I know
is
that's
just the arms. Like they're never panning down.
Oh, that's interesting. I have been fooled by your arm work. There.
Exactly. That's all sketch comedy dancing really is. But I was really scared to do this, and then I went in and I thought I was doing okay, and then these lovely choreographers are validating you at every turn. They're going, "That's amazing! Oh my goodness!" And then Christopher Scott, the choreographer, looked me in the eyes and said, "Bowen, you're a dancer." And I was like, "Wow, I felt that." The next week, we're all on set, and some of the other actors who are also not trained professional dancers and I are talking about the choreography. We're like, "Oh, it's pretty complicated, but like I think I have a good handle on it." And then two of them were like, "Yeah," and Christopher Scott like looked me in the eyes and was like, "You're a dancer." I was like, "Oh, so I'm not that special, I guess, but it's gonna be great. It's gonna be so good."
You're not selling this movie.
It's not.
Look, I just cannot stress to you how much the choreographer lies to us.
Yes. Lies, but also ultimately like gives you the boost you need.
I think the boost is more important. In the early days of learning choreography, I think a boost is far better.
Yes.
I would respond better to a boost than the hard truth.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like watch me like get cut out of the movie from dancing.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the best is every shot of you dancing is definitely going to be from here up.
Yeah.
A lot of arm work.
and then people at home are be like, "That's amazing sketch dancing in this movie."
And then it's going to cut to like definitely someone else's legs moving real fast.
yeah.
You get to go to London. I know it must be hard because you're obviously working when you're there. Are you enjoying the city at all?
I am. I'm really enjoying the city. The only note I have for London is that they don't understand what the concept of iced coffee is.
Is that true? Like even in this day and age?
I kind of think so. Like anywhere in Europe, you go, "Can I have an iced coffee?" And they look at you like you've asked for like a lobster thermidor or something. I'm like, "I just want coffee on ice," and they go, "So an Americano?" I'm like, "No, just like give me an iced coffee, please." And they also, London is trying to like veer in the other direction. They should embrace tradition, reject modernity, go back to meat pies. You can't find a good meat pie in London.
Are you looking?
I'm looking for a meat pie. It's like, it's not even like a Sweeney Todd thing anymore. There's no like worst pies in London. There's no pies in London.
Now, where does this craving for a meat pie come from? Is it just an expectation you had of London?
It's that, it's me being like a Commonwealth baby, like being born in Australia, going to Canada. Like, meat pies are a thing that like I've accepted is never gonna happen in America. Like Americans just don't care for meat pies. But people who have the Queen's face on their money like love it. You know?
So bring back the meat pies.
Bring back the meat pies.
All right, well that is, so if there's anything to take away from this,
Yes.
it's watch Peacock.
Yep.
Bring back the meat pies.
Yep. Bring back the meat pies. And Lenny Hochstein is dead in this town.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks, Seth.
You have not just SNL, you have one of my favorite podcasts, Las Culturistas.
Oh my goodness.
And you took it on, there we go, give it up.
You know, someone might be on it soon.
I can't wait. You took it to Europe. You did live shows in London, in Berlin, and Amsterdam.
Yes. Those are the big expat markets, apparently.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
We talked about Amsterdam. I was doing shows in Amsterdam this summer. I went back to Boom Chicago, which is the theater I used to work at, and it's actually where you did your live podcast.
That's right.
Did you do anything fun in Amsterdam while you were there?
We just walked the canals. We took a boat, and I love Amsterdam. I went twice this summer. My only issue with it is that it's tough when you combine a city, when you combine weed with bicycles.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a recipe for disaster. Crossing the street is really scary.
Yes. It is. So you're not even saying like being on a bicycle.
No.
Just being stoned on foot is scary because there's so many bicycles.
You don't have to be the person who's stoned. You might be next to a stoned person, and then they're the ones who like causes a big like 10-person pileup or something.
A bike pileup.
A bike pileup.
It is. I will say you have to do a lot wrong for a car to come near you on a bicycle in Amsterdam.
Definitely.
Like the cars are so aware of the bikes, and that is very nice. But I will say, on foot, sometimes you'll just walk right into the path.
That's right.
And the Dutch people are I love them very much. They are cold and unforgiving.
But with that said, with love.
Yes. Did you go to any of the museums? Or
I did. The hot ticket is the Van Gogh Museum, and concierge in my hotel was very, very good about getting me tickets, and he did say to me, "This is harder than getting Taylor Swift tickets." And I said, "That can't be true." There's no way that's true. And you know, there aren't like teen girls fighting me for it. So it's fine.
You did. There was, I feel like, a fight to get into the Lincoln Center Las Culturistas Awards.
Yes.
You did that was it this summer?
It was this summer, yeah.
And so one of our producers, Henry, was there, and he said there was literally two loops around the block to get in.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It was a free show, so that explains it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Free show, but again, you were giving out awards, and they were the Culture Awards.
That's right.
And for people who don't know the podcast, you kind of give out the sort of awards that I feel like are overlooked by a lot of the main award shows.
Absolutely.
Like, for example, you gave out the Chris Award for Most Timeless Name.
Most timeless name.
The nominees were John, Jess, George, Mark, and Doja.
Yeah. Doja Cat, pretty timeless name, I would say.
Who
she
won?
did not win.
Do you remember who won?
Oh, this is a quiz.
No,
oh,
I didn't mean to make it a quiz.
That's okay, that's okay.
I was going to say it.
Please.
Jess.
Jess.
And would you make? Why do you think?
I don't know. This is literally on a spreadsheet, and we just like changed the cell color to blue. We're like, yeah, this one. Let's.
This is my favorite. A Free Willy Award for Animal Achievement. Jenny the donkey.
From
Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
Had a big year. Mickey Mouse, always good a year.
Big year for Mickey.
The cast of The Secret Life of Pets, which I feel like came out a while ago.
Right, but look, they've achieved.
And then the winner was Tortoises, all.
All tortoises.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense people were lined around the block.
Yes, you want to know. You want to know. There are big upsets. I mean, Jenny the donkey is probably really upset.
I know Jenny was like, looked at the nominees and was like, it's my year.
It's my year, but no.
The good news for Jenny is based on The Secret Life of Pets cast, Jenny might get nominated 10 years from now.
Definitely. I think
don't give up.
If Colin Farrell can make a comeback, so can Jenny.
Yeah, that's true. Pete Davidson is hosting this week.
Yes.
Now that must be the first time someone you worked with has come back to host.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a real passage of time. I think maybe, well, probably for me it was Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell came back to host, and I was like, oh my God, we were cast members together.
Right.
And so what has it like been for you with Pete back?
It's been great. It's so nice. It's just nice to like have the shorthand already with someone.
Yeah.
And we did our read through yesterday, and we read about like 35 sketches, right?
Yeah.
And I think at the break, he said, "This is more sketches than I've been in than my 8 years at this show." And we were like, maybe you're right.
5 months out of the office. Now, I guess you lost some shows on the back end of the season, but it was the summer when people are away. But you know, it was an abbreviated year, and maybe people left a little bit quicker than they would have. What was the scene like as everybody went back to their offices?
It was smelly.
Yeah.
It was smelly because 5 months, guess what's in the fridges?
Yeah.
Our takeout food from May.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I still have a fruit cup in my fridge down the hall that has the whitest and blackest mold I've ever seen.
So you play God.
Yes. There was a thing on that cape though that was not safe for television. I don't
Oh, really?
think. But great.
Go back, rewind and pause, kids. I think we would have got away with it, Bowen.
Damn.
Oh.
Sorry, standards and practices.
Well, guess what? It was hard finding a clip from Dix the Musical.
I know, I'm sure.
We didn't want to have you on here and show a 2.5-second clip.
Sure, you couldn't have called it. I can't even come up with an alternative to Dix the Musical that is safe for television.
This was a UCB show that you were involved with back in 2014.
I was not involved. I was just like a lowly audience member. But I saw it like multiple times, and this was like back in 2014, 2015, and it was Josh Sharp and Aaron Jackson who were in the movie who play these twin brothers. It's a gay parent trap, basically. That's a musical, and but then they did this show like once a month, and then it became this like meeting ground and this touch point for a lot of queer comedians in the city. Like who had never really talked to each other before that, who didn't hang out, and it was great. We all like went out to. They said we're doing a talk back at a bar around the corner. It was just an excuse for us to like just talk and hang out.
That's so nice. So I'm assuming when they reached out and said, Bowen, we'd like you to play God, it was a quick yes.
Quick yes, and I'm really honored. It's like what, me, Morgan Freeman, Alanis Morissette, and George Burns.
Yeah,
like,
those are the four gods.
That's the Mount Rushmore of gods. We're like the Sex and the City girls of God.
I mean, I know you always do a lot of research about a character before you play it. What did you find that drew you to God?
Well, I read the entire Bible cover to cover, and in Aramaic. No, so God in this movie is this like really petulant sort of gay entity, and it got me thinking. Like my way in was like God is a kind of a messy queen, you know, like he's so dramatic, floods the world, makes it rain frogs. That's campy. Like you know, the whole book of Job is him like playing The Sims on this one guy, like, you know. So I feel like this is a very like it's a new portrayal of God, but it's like it's the God the way we understand God.
Yes, that we haven't been able to admit that's what God has been telling us,
exactly.
And now you're finally like, let's just own it.
And let's just own it. Everyone's free to just call God a messy queen.
This is a great cast. Nathan Lane,
yes,
Megan Mullally's in it. But the really all anybody who's seen the movie is talking about is the Sewer Boys.
The Sewer Boys.
So the Sewer Boys are these two characters that belong to Nathan Lane in the film.
Yep, that's right.
They're like just prosthetic dudes.
Yes, they're real puppets. They're prosthetic dudes.
Here's a good sense of their actual size.
That's right. So that's them with us on the red carpet. Someone made me hold one of them on the red carpet, and I thought they were really adorable, really cute, but then when I touched them, whoever made them out of like real skin and bone, it seemed like. I was like, this is vile. But I'm curious, you've lived in New York a long time. Do you believe that there is like a species, a lateral species of like sewer people, like mole people? What do you think?
100%.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
There has to be.
And I think they're not that upset about it.
No.
Yeah.
Great real estate down.
Yeah, I think they're great. There's absolutely. They have so much space. And they're like.
It's by the train.
It's by the train. Talking about God, you actually, as a kid, wanted to make a deal with the devil.
Yes. I think so. I guess I admitted this on a press thing for this movie. Someone unlocked a memory for me. They said, have you ever sold your soul to the devil? I said, wait a minute, I did. When I was like 11 years old, there was an episode of The Simpsons that was on. It's called Bart Sells His Soul, season 7, episode 4, and written by Greg Daniels, who we all know and love from The Office. And Bart basically sells his soul to Milhouse, and then I think by the end of the episodes, he asks Satan to give it back. And I watched that in my basement, being like, you can do that? Great.
So you did not watch the episode as a cautionary tale?
No. Yeah. No, purely encouraged, and just like had like a imaginary conversation with Satan. I think I just wanted to play like a video game. I think I just wanted to play like, ironically, like Diablo 2 or something. And I got it, and so he upheld his bargain, and I think I'm still technically locked into this deal.
You seem fine, though.
I don't know. I feel like I come off soulless sometimes, right, guys? But I blame Greg Daniels for this Faustian bargain.
You got to pin it on somebody. You might as well pin it on him.
A show. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Did you? Do you have any? I know 5 months of not doing NSL. Are there any sketches you've come up with over the years that you have pitched that you wish had been received better?
Oh yeah, I mean, just always. But the one that I think really like got away from me was Jenna Ortega was here last season, and at Monday Pitch, I pitched her this thing where she is a children's book author, and she writes a book that's kind of like Can You Give a Mouse a Cookie?
Can You Give a Mouse a Cookie is a great book.
Great book.
And it's about how things just get like sort of, you give a mouse a cookie and that's just the beginning of the problem.
That's just the beginning of the problem. And I pitched her a children's book title that she could be the author of called Can You Give a Bitch a Break? And didn't take.
I've been very lucky to see you recently outside of this studio.
That's right.
I got to go do your wonderful podcast, Las Culturistas.
Thank you so much, by the way. Thank you.
It opened my door to, the amount of people that I feel like had never heard my voice before that are on the street and are like, it was so nice to do it because you guys made me feel so comfortable. It was so much fun.
You were excellent. There's a BTS moment where Seth walked in and handed off his jacket to someone without breaking eye contact with me and Matt. And the way you handed this jacket off was so slick and debonair. It felt like you were about to sing jazz standards to us or something.
This is why I would recommend anyone be in a room with you and Matt, because I would say they will see things about you that no one has ever seen. You will feel seen in a way that you've never
Seth
been
Meyers, you have a face for Cole Porter, I think. You have...
unfortunately, it stops there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When they get me on the mic, they're like, oh, the jacket was a false flag. You did a thing recently where you did top 10 stores.
Yes.
Las Culturistas.
Top 10 stores.
Top 10 stores.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that, and this is just a wonderful biography tidbit, that you sort of found your way to your performing skills at Best Buy.
At Best Buy.
Yeah.
Which is still going strong, I believe.
Yes. I recently went to a Best Buy and had a pretty nice experience.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to be able to see how long the charging cord is, because if you buy it from the internet, it shows up at your door and you're like, this is 7 meters long. I don't need this to be my charging cord.
Yes.
But yes, I grew up at Best Buy. There was one next to the Costco at Park Meadows Mall in suburban Colorado.
Uh-huh.
And I would walk over and play Dance Dance Revolution, which was situated at the center of the store, and I would compete with the staff there.
Okay.
And all of these, like, 25-year-old goths were shaking in their boots when 14-year-old me, this 14-year-old Asian kid, would walk into the store and everyone would scurry. Because I was about to hand their asses to them, dancing to Kylie Minogue. So there you go.
I'm not...
Thank you. Thank you.
I know Best Buys don't have them, but I am picturing yours with saloon doors. And did they know you from reputation, or even from the first time, did they know the way you walked? Did they know this is not his first time at a Dance Dance Revolution?
I think it was my gait. I think there might have been some racial profiling. But no, I think by like the third month that I was doing this, I would go every week.
Okay.
And by the third month that I did this, I think I had developed my imprimatur, which was just, I'm gonna kick your ass on DDR.
Did you ever do it in a way where the store would sort of gather? Was there ever sort of a dance circle?
People would gather, and I learned, see, a lot of performers aren't used to performing when the audience is behind them.
Yes.
And the audience was like gathered around, like arcade style, like watching. Like, I think I could do the Super Bowl because it's a 360 stage.
Yeah.
And I'm performing to the people behind me. Yeah.
They say they book the scouts for Super Bowl acts try
go
to
to Best Buy.
They go to Best Buy.
Yeah.
And they're like, I found a kid, he's 14, he can do it in the round.
That would have been amazing. So
Las Culturistas is, of course, about culture.
Yes.
It's such a good podcast. The second time I mentioned it, somebody wooed again.
Yep.
On the second message, the Oscars were last night.
Yes.
What was your bounce on the Oscars?
Well, it was a mostly lovely, delightful, pretty boring night, I think.
I think a lot of deserved people won, but I think we all expected the wins.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Jimmy Kimmel was a fantastic host.
He's the most consummate host in the game.
So good.
Yep.
And you mentioned Al Pacino, thank you, because I think we're not talking about how Al Pacino was giving America's Next Top Model. He was like, there are 10 Best Picture nominees, but only one will win. I hold the envelope in my hand. And that it was his gayest work since the movie Cruising, I think.
It was far less problematic than Cruising.
Far less problematic than Cruising. Less leather, yeah.
You did a wonderful sketch on Saturday night, and I really enjoyed it. I was watching live. I haven't watched SNL live for a long time.
Yeah.
And you and Ariana Grande did a Moulin Rouge sketch.
Yes.
And
that was very fun.
Now, you are, she is a co-star of yours in the upcoming Wicked, and so you've worked with her, and she's a real, no play in here, she's a real friend.
No play, she's a real friend, and I mean, she was just so, and someone asked me backstage, like, was it intimidating to sing with her? I was like, it never occurred to me that I was singing with her and that I should be intimidated. She's so disarmingly wonderful and great, and was just so fun to do.
And it also, you know, it's not one of those SNL cameos where you can kind of come in and just like read a line off a card.
Yeah.
It obviously required a great deal more rehearsal than a normal
A little
sketch.
bit, yeah.
And then, I mean, not only are you guys perfect in that, but you know, then she nails 2 songs on the show. I walked away very impressed.
Can you believe that? I mean, just crazy. But for this Moulin Rouge sketch, a lot of conflicting information from producers and our legal department. So I don't know how much legal trouble I'm in right now.
I would say go on YouTube, and if it's not there, Bowen's in a jail.
I'm in jail. Yeah.
You did a sketch called Bowen Straight.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago. With Sydney Sweeney.
Right.
There you were, Sydney Sweeney.
That's
and then in the end, you hooked up with Gina Gershon.
Yes.
Who's just been white hot for like three decades now. Yeah.
Decades. Yeah. I gotta tell you guys something. You know when like you have a head injury and you like can't see colors quite right?
Yeah.
I feel like I got hit in the head by these 2 women, and I'm still a little straight.
Really? So you did like some comedy straight and like a little bit stuck?
I think like I understand why Austin Butler talked like Elvis for a while after the movie.
Yeah, just like it took like a few months.
So like I think for a couple more weeks I'm still straight. Ladies, get in there.
It's interesting because Austin Butler was here last week.
Right.
And ever since he's left, I might be a little bit gay.
Yeah, there you go. Funny.
It just happens.
Yeah.
It just happened. You were dark a couple weeks ago, and you went upstate.
I did.
I don't take you to be a sort of naturey get out.
I think I got it all out of my system from growing up in Colorado,
Right.
which I love. But going upstate was great. I stayed at a place where Wildflower Farm. I hope I get 1 free night out of this. Where you get to wake up and you go and feed chickens and you pick the eggs that they lay and then you bring them to breakfast and the chef cooks it for you.
That's
Cooks
incredible.
you an omelet. It's incredible. And then I went on a hike and then 40 beautiful minutes and then I fell on my ass, ate absolute S word, and then went home. I was like, that's enough nature for one.
Home to the hotel or just home to the city?
I think no, home to the hotel.
Okay,
but then
yeah.
but just soon after the city.
Right. You just fell on the mountain and just slid all the way back to Manhattan. This is the second season of Hot White Heist.
Yes.
Do you enjoy? It's an incredible cast.
An amazing
really
cast.
Fun story.
Sir Ian McKellen, Jane Lynch, Cynthia Nixon, Joel Kim Booster, Sarah Ramirez, Raul Esparza, like daddy of all daddies, and Tony Kushner.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
So this is obviously this is about a heist. Have you in your life ever stolen anything?
I have not.
Okay.
But I have witnessed someone, a close friend of mine, who I will not name.
Okay.
But who hosts a podcast with me.
Okay.
We were at a bodega. We were like 22 years old.
Okay.
And we're hurting for cash. We went to a bodega, and this man steals a strawberry shortcake ice cream from the freezer. And thankfully, this lovely bodega keep ran out after him and was like, give that back. And he was like, fine. And then just like rolled his eyes and handed it back so nonchalantly. And so I have also been in an ice cream scandal. Like, this is...
And again, I'm not going to name this person either.
Yes.
But I do want to stress they do host a podcast with you.
They do host a podcast with me.
I will say, you know, I don't know him.
Yes.
Can I guess him?
No.
Could I guess him?
You may guess.
Okay. As well as I know you, but I love everything I know. He would roll his eyes if he got caught shoplifting.
He would roll his eyes if he got caught shoplifting. I called to make sure he was okay with me sharing this story, and now I think this gives him fodder to throw me under the bus next time he's on this show.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. It's Matt Rogers, okay? It's Matt Rogers.
Ice cream thief.
Ice cream thief.
Reformed ice cream
Reformed
thief.
ice. We would never do anything like that today.
Yeah.
Truly.
It's really funny. So, I mean, it must be like a dream to be a bodega owner and run out and be like, give that back. And then be like, all right.
All right. Yeah, so frictionless.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
He
pushback.
probably went home and was like, it actually went well.
Could have gone much worse.